right now.
Here we go. The breaking news. The CFL Board of Governors votes unanimously to begin a shortened 14-game season on August 5th.
How about that?
We're going ahead. We're opening training camp. We're going to kick off August 5th. They're doing what's best for the league. They're doing what's best for the game. They're doing what's best for their players and staff. They're moving ahead. So bravo to them.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It absolutely is. Happy Friday, everybody. Flame Tech Football Friday. It's what you've all been waiting for, I think. And we are live on YouTube and Facebook. Preempted this week on Game Plus Television. Get that hate mail into them. Moose Dupont's here.
Send the hate mail.
How you doing, Moose?
I'm great.
We heard from the Game Plus guys this morning, and they don't have a problem with a hate mail.
No. At least they didn't tell us they did. No news is good news.
It means people are watching.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, we've got two of the biggest names in the Canadian Football League coming on today's program. Real nice work, Clark, the best guest booker in the business. We got Pinball Clemens, the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, and Paul LaPolice, the head coach of the Ottawa Red Blacks. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea how they found the time to join this show. I'm not joking.
I know.
So I'm incredibly honored that those two gents will be with us today as we get ready to talk some football. I'll get to your comments in a moment. What I would love is if you could chime in with where you're watching from today. We always like that with your comments on this Friday. And let's go with the quick six show topics, please, if you don't mind, Director Jordan. Well, it is a Flame Tech Football Friday, but they're not entirely football-related topics here in the Quick Six. Number one, the Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Islanders last night 2-1 on Long Island to assume a 2-1 series lead. Clearly, I watched the game. I'm all in on the Islanders for a couple of reasons. Got our buddies there, Jordan Eberle, Clark Gillies, and so forth. Tampa won the Stanley Cup last year. The team hasn't changed a whole lot. You know what I mean? They all got rings, so let's let somebody else win.
Right.
But there was a controversial interference penalty, which led to the game-winning goal. And I'm just sitting there going, why do we even talk about this? Why do we even talk about officiating? Because it's going to come up all the time, and it seems like such a waste of time. Because these things are always going to happen. Should we just stop talking about it?
Well, I mean, we can, but it's so critical to the game, and that was such a big moment. We usually don't, but it just feels like this is the year that it seems to come up on almost a daily basis, which isn't normally the case.
Yeah.
Where bad calls happen all the time. I get it. Like, nobody's perfect, and not that they're bad, but it's somebody's going to disagree with every single call, and that's fine. I'm not here to talk about that. But these are calls that are impacting the game, like leading to goals and on scoring plays and monumental moments. It doesn't seem like this has happened in a really long time at this volume.
No, and the other night, in game 2, Barry Trotz was just losing his mind with they got 7 guys, right? You saw him yelling, right?
Yes.
Last night he was just, he couldn't believe the
vibrating.
He was punch drunk on this call. So, yeah, I don't even know why we talk about it at all. Our poll question. Now, hang on. Hang on. Sorry for that. I'm just checking in. Victoria, BC. Trevor Bazillo says I'm in Grey Cup champ land. I guess that would be Winterpeg. Salt Lake City. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says he's in his mom's basement. I have no problem believing that. Kamloops, BC.
How about that?
Saskatoon, the 905. Southern Ontario. So, yeah, keep them coming. Keep them coming. Did I mention Green Bay? Green Bay, Wisconsin. We got the Cheeseheads here. Edmonton. Come on, Mandy. Cheer up in Edmonton. Started already. Point 2. Vegas at Montreal tonight. My prediction is a 3-1 Golden Knights win. What the heck? My brother and I were getting in early with our predictions here.
Yeah.
He's got 2-1 Golden Knights.
Okay.
So, looks like the Golden Knights are winning. Why play the game?
Yeah.
Not nervous at all. 6 p.m. Mountain Face-Off.
What did they say? And they said it on the broadcast last night when series are even at 1. Who wins game 3 improves to like a 78% chance of winning the series.
Is it that much?
It's high.
Well, I know game 5 winner in a 2-2 series is 78%. I would be surprised it's that high in game 3. It's pivotal tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Pivotal tonight. Hey, Leanne Horning-Wright checking in. She's watching from Vegas. Brad Horning's sister. Saw your brother the other day, Leanne. Maybe he told you. We had a nice little visit about Regina Pats hockey. God's team. Point 3, Rod Brind'Amour wins Coach of the Year in the National Hockey League. As I said, there's 31 great coaches in the NHL. That's the truth. He's the best. Voted the best. So congratulations to the Notre Dame Hounds alum. They will probably win a Stanley Cup by the time he's done. Although I got to say this. I saw a video the other day. Is Don Waddell still the general manager in Carolina? I saw a video of the two of them together at a desk. And I thought it's interesting what Don Waddell was the general manager in Atlanta and could never get them off the ground. They're Thrashers, right?
Right.
But now he's in Carolina and he's got a legit Stanley Cup contending team. I mean, they didn't make it out of round 2, but that's not bad. But sometimes you need to look at guys that get fired and look at the whole big picture, right? Not just the fact that they were fired. Speaking of fired, I noticed on the ticker on TSN on SportsCenter that Denmark lost at the Euro 2020. So here's me, uneducated sports fan. We lost 2-1 to Belgium. Fire the coach. Am I doing it right? And Mark Bergevin, Lou Lamoriello, and Bill Zito named finalists for the General Manager of the Year in the National Hockey League. And I don't have no idea how Zito got in there. But it's why I also get upset with people. Because with about 6 weeks to go in the regular season, in my leftovers, my NHL leftovers, I said, Mark Bergevin for GM of the Year. Just get ripped from neck to navel on that from people. What about Kyle Dubas? What about him? Sometimes you just wonder why you put your opinions out at all.
I know, and I think Bergevin might win it. I really do.
He should.
Zito, I get Florida, but you know what? This is a year behind.
He just got there.
But my point is a year behind. Like, this team was good last year at the end when they started making their moves. They didn't make a whole lot of change, I don't think, in that roster. It's Quenneville who took him from, on the cusp last year to being a contender this year. So Quenneville for Coach of the Year, yeah, I think Bergevin's my pick.
So actual football, point 4, CFL stuff. I had written down here standings predictions, but I think it might be a little early for that. Something more delicious has dropped into our lap. And by the way, this is the warm-up for E-Cold Electric. Our good friend Luke Mullender tweeting about, he's the color commentator for the Rough Riders and a 9-year CFL player, and he kind of took issue with what the Rough Riders head coach Craig Dickenson said, that they're going to have to cut some guys that are coming to camp not in shape. And Luke, was it just this morning he tweeted this?
Yeah.
He said, or I didn't know if it was this morning or last night. A couple hours ago. He's like, come on, give these guys a break. Look what they've been through for the last 16 months. They've had to have jobs. They've had, they haven't been sitting there getting paid like the coaches. I might be adding a little more to what Luke said, but the gist of this is, can we give these guys a break? If they show up in camp not entirely in game shape? That's from Luke. You were a little surprised that he would bite the hand that feeds him, per se, the head coach of the Rough Riders, but he's taken the player's side, which I think analysts should do. My take when I read that was COVID-19. Hashtag sucks to be you. It is what it is. If we've learned anything in the last 16 months, everybody's in it for themselves. Period. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if you don't agree with that, you're going to figure out sooner or later in life, if you haven't figured that out yet. Looking out for number 1. That's it. That's all. But you have some strong takes on what Dickie said and Luke's reaction to it.
Yeah, Luke was kind of criticizing him a little bit for calling it the offseason. This wasn't an offseason. This is a year and a half where we had to take care of families and do all these other things. I just thought it just shocked me that, he came out so hard against Craig and what he said on the air. But you know what? You kind of sway me back to being like, look, he's got the players back. And, it's okay to disagree with somebody in a respectful way. I think it was still delivered respectfully. But, yeah, it's tough, and we're going to see a lot of surprise cuts. That's what I really took away from it, is there's going to be players who you're like, he's one of the best on the team, or I thought he was a leader on this group at that position, and they're going to get cut because they're not in shape or they're not ready to play. And young, hungry football players that have been putting in the work will be ready to go, and they'll take the spot. So it'll be interesting to watch and follow.
Well, there's a flood of comments coming in, and I really appreciate it. Carlos Legena in Indianapolis says, roster cuts are roster cuts. It's not that much different from roster cuts any other year. Come on, Carlos, you know better than that. Come on. Or do we not know that players are people? And am I too defensive about that? I always laugh when we talk about a minor trade. Clark Monroe traded for Darren Dupont in a 1-for-1 deal. Not minor to them. Right? And these veteran players that have had to work to feed their kids and now quit those jobs and get across the border and quarantine and do all these things in camp, and they might not be in the best shape, get cut for that reason. Oh, well, sucks to be you. Doesn't matter what you did before. Am I too defensive on this?
No.
To be honest.
You're putting it into perspective, right? But unfortunately, those are decisions that have to be made. I want to think about in Saskatchewan and the biggest names, right? When Chick and Dressler and, Fantuz got moved and guys got cut and...
Stop!
You want to go?
Nelson, even if you have a job, it's not hard to make it to the gym. People who live regular lives do it every day. Nelson, we're not talking about 30 minutes on the treadmill. It's 2 hours every GD day pushing weights. This is like 4 or 5 hours in the gym every day. Are you saying these players, you can go to the gym? I did.
How about that?
We're not off to a great start here today. Pull your heads out of your asses, people. Yes?
But it is. As a football player, it's minimum 2 hours a day when you're getting into shape. Maintenance, they're in there for at least a couple of hours, and they're ramping up for a season. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not just swinging by on your way home from work and dropping in for 45.
Well, that's
right.
Yeah. So you got a full-time job and you got to work out full-time, but you know what? Go ahead, because I just got my tickets. I'm going to come watch you. If you're not in shape, piss off. It's your problem. So, my bad. Jack in Vulcan, Alberta, agree 100% with Luke. One of the CFL players made the comment, most USA players have had access to gyms where many Canadian players haven't. What did Charleston Hughes say this summer? Last summer, I can't remember. What year is it? Where are we?
I know.
He said that he was running stairs, and what else did he say? For weights. What was he? I can't remember what he said he was using for weights because the gyms were closed at that time. And I'm thinking the Argos will allow Chucky to come in and get himself into shape. But he was in here the other day saying he's not in game shape because he's had to work. But you know what? That's fine. You can just swipe your card and, go to a yoga class. And I'm sure you'll be ready to tear after CFL quarterbacks. Warmup's brought to you by eCold Electric, your complete electrical distributor with locations Regina, Estevan, Swift Current, Yorkton, and Moose Jaw. eCold Electric. Let's get to work. There's more, but I'll move on. I do have to mention the Blue Jays. How about the Blue Jays?
Oh, boy.
They've lost 4 in a row. They were swept by the Yankees. And last night, here's my thing on this. I was watching a hockey game, not the Blue Jays. I still can't watch 2 games at once. I don't know how people do it. But in the history of Major League Baseball, there's never been a triple play turn that it's a 1-3-6-2-5-6. And that happened last night against the Blue Jays. And it was all because Bo Bichette had a brain fart, bad base running. And I see the people are blowing a pipe. And I'm watching Charlie Montoyo. And please don't cancel me when I say this, but when I'm working out in the morning getting ready for a CFL season on my Bowflex at home, the machine's kind of loud, right? So when Charlie Montoyo's talking on SportsCenter with his postgame, I can't really understand him because his English isn't great.
Right.
So I couldn't really see what Montoyo said. TSN, can you put subtitles underneath Charlie Montoyo? Like he's speaking English, but not well. But it was something along the lines of their kids. And I see people on Twitter wanting to fire Charlie Montoyo because of the base running gaffes last night from the Blue Jays. You can't. People just want to hang the coach, right? For what the players do. But there's been a lot of mistakes. I mean, these people that have been on the Blue Jays' ass lately, I'm starting to see why. I'd like to think it's a June swoon. Don't you, though?
Yeah. And, I think, when you think about what he said, he also said, look, in our locker room, we're in a good mood. We're having fun. But we're working hard. We're taking all the ground balls. You don't see all those things. So I think, people kind of get upset when he says, we're having fun. We're in a good mood. But you're losing all these games and making all these mistakes. How is it fun? We want to hear that things are miserable and that you hate losing. But you know what? He's a guy who's trying to keep the culture intact. It's a long season. You can't, get into a tailspin now. But 10 losses, I saw the stat this morning, 10 losses when leading by at least the 7th inning or later. 10, most in the majors. And a number of those, I think 5 of them have been since June the 8th and 8 have been since May the 20th. Those numbers are pretty close. That's a lot. So you take those 10 wins. When you're leading in the 7th inning, you got to lock it down. If you can get 6 or 7 of those wins back, you're right back in the mix. So they're close. They're really close.
I appreciate all the comments from everybody. We got to break and bring in Pinball Clemens. I'm interested to get his take on training camps opening here. Jacques Dupuis in Ottawa. I'm on your side, Rod. Give the players a break. A lot of comments, we'll get to them, but Pinball, we can't keep them waiting. The general manager of the Argos. This has been the warm-up for E-Cold Electric. We'll be right back. You're watching on YouTube and Facebook. No Game Plus TV today, but we're also on 24-hour sports radio for Suds Full Service Car Wash at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.